Kashimo and Yuta. Without a doubt, some of the most strongest characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. Yuta has time and time again implied to be the second strongest sorcerer of the modern generation, right behind Gojo Satoru himself. And Kashimo has been stated and implied to be the strongest sorcerer of his own generation 400 years ago. But there has been a smoldering debate within the Jujutsu Kaisen community for a while now about which one of these two sorcerers is actually the strongest. The second sorcerer of the modern generation, or the strongest sorcerer of the Edo period, Kashimo Hajime. Now, let's go over both of these characters' feats, accomplishments, and abilities to decide the true winner in this match. Now, starting off with Yuta, once again, Yuta is heavily implied to be the second strongest sorcerer of the modern day generation. When Gojo was being sealed, he tells Kenjaku that he still has Yuta to worry about, meaning that Gojo believes that the second biggest threat besides himself is Yuta, again implying that Yuta is the strongest out of all of Gojo's students. Yuta is also the character in the series who has the most cursed energy output that we know of so far. Back during the Culling Games, when Yuta and Yuji confronted for the first time, Yuta straight up says that he has more raw cursed energy than Gojo, and the only reason why Gojo is considered to have more is because of his 6 eyes, which uses such a small amount of cursed energy. It seems like Gojo has infinite. But in terms of raw cursed energy, Yuta definitely has more than Gojo. Yuta's main curse technique is known as Mimicry, which allows him to, in a way, mimic other people's curse techniques, or in other words, just straight up copy them. We saw him do this to Uro's curse technique within the Culling Games, and we also saw him do this to Inumaki's cursed speech. Basically, Yuta has to meet a set of conditions, it seems like, to be able to fully copy somebody's curse technique and use it as his own, which is by far one of the strongest abilities within the entire series. However, what Yuta is most known for, though, is his possession of the Queen of Curses herself, Rika. This is by far Yuta's most powerful tool in his arsenal, because in one way, Rika acts as her own fight. When you're fighting Yuta, you are basically fighting two people, Yuta and Rika. And Rika's curse energy output is ridiculous. As we saw in Jujutsu Kaisen 0, they were able to just completely match Geto's maximum curse technique with simply Rika's pure raw power. And not only does Rika act as her own fighter, she also is able to give Yuta an insane curse energy boost that allows him to maximize the potential of his copy techniques. Rika is also often described as a storage system for Yuta, implying that she just stores off extra curse energy just in case if Yuta will ever need it in a fight or is running low and he needs to access that supply or that reserve of curse energy. We do also know that Yuta possesses his own domain expansion. However, as of right now, we still don't know the abilities of this domain. So Yuta's domain is titled True Mutual Love. It is a domain that is completely covered in swords, and it has 2 crosses inside. And what it does is it gives Yuta the ability to use an unlimited amount of copy attacks. Usually Yuta is on some sort of time limit or restriction when he uses other people's attacks. Inside his own domain, he can use it as much as he wants. And we actually saw Sukuna try to negate Yuta's domain expansion by using Hollow Wicker Basket, and Yuta was able to simply destroy it using his copy techniques. So that means if Yuta is able to pop his domain expansion before Kashimo does anything, chances are he'll likely win, because Kashimo's Hollow Wicker Basket is not going to work. Now, some of Yuta's best feats come from his fight with Ryu Ishigori in the Culling Games, who he was able to beat in a one-on-one fight. And the reason why this is so impressive is because Ryu Ishigori was stated to have the highest curse energy output within the entire Culling Games. And this was made apparent when Sukuna tried slashing through Ryu Ishigori, and it didn't work the first time. So Sukuna was actually quite impressed with how resilient Ryu actually was. And Yuta was able to single-handedly take him down, which was extremely impressive. Another one of Yuta's best feats comes from him just completely speed blitzing Kenjaku. A lot of people think that Yuta caught Kenjaku off guard, but if you actually reread that chapter, you would see that Kenjaku was reacting to Yuta. He was about to pull off an attack, and then Yuta was able to redirect his own attack and just completely blitz Kenjaku and cut his head off, which, blitzing one of the strongest characters in the entire series, a character who was easily keeping up with Yuki and Chozo, again, crazy feat for Yuta. Now let's get into Hajime Kashimo. Hajime Kashimo has only been around for about 80 chapters, yet the feats this man has pulled off are on another level. Kashimo was first mainly introduced to us when he completely ragdolled and embarrassed Panda, a character who definitely is not the strongest, but is also not the weakest. Yet Kashimo was able to just completely destroy him without a sweat, which led into Kashimo's very next fight, which was one of his biggest fights, that being up against Hikari. Now, this fight gets misread and misinterpreted a lot. A lot of people see this fight at face value and they're like, oh, Hikari won the fight at the end of the day. That makes Hikari way stronger. No, that is not what happened at all. First off, Kashimo did not use his curse technique throughout the entirety of the fight. We know that Kashimo's curse technique is a one-time use, but either way, that just shows that Kashimo was holding back against Hikari. And yet, Kashimo was giving Hikari the toughest fight he has ever had. Hikari himself even states that he has never died that many times in one fight. And also, Kashimo was completely just outmatching Hikari at every turn throughout their fight. He was able to kill Hikari at least 3 times, and then was able to knock him out at least 5 times throughout one fight. And the only thing that was keeping Hikari in the game whatsoever was his jackpot ability and his ability to regenerate. Hikari at the end of the fight even admits that he doesn't consider this fight to be a win for him because he knew Kashimo was holding back. So imagine that Kashimo, a character who is in base form, is boxing up and outmatching Hikari, a character who is just spamming jackpot after jackpot after jackpot and getting cursed energy boosts throughout the entire fight. Kashimo in base form is already special grade level, if not above that. Now we go into Kashimo's next fight, which was up against Meguna. Now, I admit, Meguna at this time was still injured and fatigued after his Gojo fight, but nonetheless, Kashimo jumped into that fight and completely boxed up Sukuna. Sukuna was barely able to react to him, and Kashimo forced him actually to transform into his Heian era form. And this was where we saw Kashimo's curse technique for the first time, which was his Mythical Beast Amber. Now, what Mythical Beast Amber does is it's stated that it can reconstruct the flesh in order to manifest phenomena that Kashimo converts from cursed energy. So the fact that Kashimo is firing off electromagnetic waves at his opponents means that these attacks are the fastest attacks within the entire series, because electromagnetic waves travel at the speed of light. Not a single other attack within the series is that fast. Kashimo is also able to just straight up tank attacks from Heian era Sukuna and react to Heian era Sukuna while he was in a one-on-one scenario. Not a single other character in the series has yet to fight Sukuna one-on-one. And even if they have at this point, Sukuna is still weakened. His cursed energy is not as high as it was when he was fighting Kashimo. And yet, even while Sukuna was at his strongest, Kashimo was reacting and tanking his attacks. And then, unfortunately, Kashimo ended up losing to Sukuna with the strongest attack we have ever seen in the entire series. The attack that killed Kashimo would have killed every other character within Jujutsu Kaisen without a doubt. Now that we've gone over both fighters and their abilities, who would actually win in a one-on-one fight between Yuta Okkotsu and Hajime Kashimo? Well, the answer is Kashimo, and I don't believe this fight is as close as many people will think. So I have to re-record this part because Gege Akutami decided to reveal what Yuta's domain expansion actually is. So now we know what Yuta's domain is, and I can give you guys a more clear answer as to who would win between Yuta and Kashimo. So with Yuta's domain expansion now being a major factor in this fight, could Yuta win? Well, both characters now have ways that either one of them could win. It all depends on who attacks first. However, I'm still leaning more towards Kashimo winning this match. You guys have to realize, Kashimo was straight up blitzing Hikari. He wasn't just outspeeding Hikari, he was blitzing Hikari in base form. The same Hikari who is stated to be relative to Yuta Okkotsu. And also, Yuta is currently fighting a weaker version of Sukuna than the one that Kashimo fought. And the only reason Yuta is lasting longer is because Sukuna used his strongest attack against Kashimo. We have never seen Sukuna use an attack that powerful. And since Kashimo, he has not used his space slashes to take anyone out. So, obviously, Sukuna tried a bit more against Kashimo than he's currently doing with Yuta. So, despite Yuta's domain expansion, I still have Kashimo as our winner. Anyways, with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to let me know what other videos you guys want to see in the future. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys on the next one.